Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Let the Madness Begin. William Coleman, Marshawn Taylor, Super Mario in the building. You know what I'm saying? DJ Enough, Try Call Quest, Common.
Oh, it's cuffing season, y'all.
Welcome once again. How's it going today?
Man, a little congested, but I'll be all right.
Did you enjoy the ice storm? I guess you could call it ice storm.
I guess. I mean, hey, I made the most of it. It's all good though.
Do you think it warranted the stores being sold out of everything?
No, it don't. It don't. The crazy thing is supposed to happen last week. I mean, so people ate all that food between last weekend and this weekend? You gotta be kidding me, man. There's no way.
Yeah.
If anything, you should be touching up your dresser, your cabinets and your pantries, not restocking the whole fridge, restocking your freezers.
No, I agree. It's just hilarious. I understand that you're supposed to be prepared for everything, but at the same time, going out here and just buying everything, throwing everything in your cart, not realizing that there are people behind you who may actually need that at that moment in time. They're not there to stock up. They actually need that toilet tissue.
Yeah. But I can be like the Europeans, man. They shop every 2 to 3 days, They grab what they need for the next 3 days, they'll cook it up, whatever. And when it comes to that third day 3, they'll go buy some more for the next 2 or 3 more days.
No, that's because we're a gluttonous society. We like to stock up and hoard everything and use it because we always think the world's coming to an end. And I always tell people this. Now, this is just my theory, and I just want y'all to understand. There's nothing wrong with stocking up on stuff. However, if we was in a situation where those events happen, pretty sure you'll be one of the first people knock on the door to take your stuff because you stocked up on it. Think about that.
Something to consider.
You're stocking up on canned goods. Some people stocking up on guns. Oh. I'm pretty sure the ones with the guns are going to take your canned goods, son.
Something to consider. Okay. Yeah. I like that. So what we talking about today there, sir?
So, backstory. So the topic is, are we too inclusive? So I'll give a little backstory, then I'll walk it forward. I like that. I'm going to start.
Walk it forward?
Yeah, walk it forward.
Okay.
So, Fresh and Fit came out, just like a lot of people come out and say they don't date black women, and they named the Shanae the Shaniqua, which, by the way, I think Shanae is a fake person made by Mark. But anyway,
right.
That's what they name all these colorful characteristics that really not the average black woman uses. We always have to be fair and say not every black woman is loud, obnoxious, and things like that, or baby mamas and this. So they said they don't date these type of women. Mind you, that they have the white version of them and the Puerto Rican version of them on their show. But that's neither here nor there. We'll get to that part later.
Right.
So Tommy went on their show and, he said, what is wrong with people saying that they don't date black women? And one thing I thought about is that those two aren't black.
Oh, I know. I never watched the show. So
one is Barbados and one is from Africa. I want to say from Africa. And I think that's important.
Yeah, it is very important
because what we're learning is that we're inclusive because we think all black people are the same. When
we're not say all black. I'm gonna stop you. Let's say all black people. We'll say they feel we all have the same skin tone.
Right, until you something else. Yeah, right. We all say we're all black.
Right.
Where other people of color say, no, I'm actually this. Why is this part important? So a couple of years ago, Gilbert Arenas got in trouble with saying that dark skin and women and things like that. Actually heard him explain the whole thing on Vlad TV. And he brought up something that it went over a lot of people's heads. I watched a documentary on Netflix about black actors and black actresses throughout Hollywood over the years.
Right.
And, they talked about their plights and everything. And one of the things they said now, which was actually what Gilbert Arenas was trying to address when he was saying what he said in his tweet was, the Black American actors right now are fighting another battle in Hollywood.
True.
The foreign invasion.
Okay.
And I heard this out of Black actors' mouths, Black actors and Black actresses' mouths, which is on screen, you can't tell if that person's American Black or not. It don't matter to you if you're a white person or Asian person. It don't matter. You just see Black. So you see inclusion.
Right.
We see a difference.
Right.
And it's because you could get them because they're cheaper, because and these are things they said, because they're cheaper, because they're polite to you and things like that. You don't want to deal with the American, which why do we lose jobs to foreign countries? Because you don't want to deal with the Americans. So in Hollywood right now, that's what they've been doing. That's why you see a lot of British actors taking on these roles.
Okay.
And so Gilbert was trying to, explain, and he explained that. And, when he explained, a lot of people, of course, in the comment section were like, no. And I'm like, well, I actually heard that on documentary from some prominent African Americans within the field of Hollywood.
Okay.
Why am I saying that? Because once again, we're inclusive.
I got you.
We are always, we'll put our arms around you and bring you in. Like with the gay and lesbian community, we'll put our arms around you and bring you in. Like with Caucasian white women, we'll put our arms around you and bring you in. But all these other races, to include other minorities that look like us, what they say, I'm not Black.
True.
Why do you feel as though as African Americans, we feel the need to actually go out there and be Superman for all these other races when they can't even be our Lois Lanes?
Wow. That's crazy. That's an interesting question. Well, we can look at it as, because one point or another, those people went through some kind of struggle, and maybe they were supposed to understand our trials and tribulations, as and as a Black African, remember how you refer to yourself, American of African descent, however you want to look at yourself. And that's the thing. And I think we're kind of programmed to think that because me and you have the same skin tone, that me and you are from the same culture in a sense.
Okay.
Because even Africans, when they come to America, don't claim themselves as Black Americans. They'll tell you in a minute they're African, but they'll tell you they're from, I'm Ghanaian in American, Kenyan, Zimbabwe, wherever they, and the same thing goes for those that come from Latin American countries, the Caribbean countries too. They'll tell you that, hey man, I'm Guyanese, he brought that. But when they feel, and I understand what you're getting at, but when the minute they feel they can benefit from being Black American, they get the benefit of the doubt. They get to use that, they play that lane when it fits them. Is it fair? No. But at the same time, that's just the game, and a lot of times, there are times we can have a say so in that and be accepting of it. But sometimes, we always can't be accepting of it and let it slide, And like I said, we need to go out there and create our own. If we got to sit there and vet your background, I mean, if it gets that serious, then by all means, if it's that serious, then by all means, do what you need to do.
I think we're at that point. I actually do think it's that serious. I think it is.
Do you feel that way about, like I said, Idris Elba? I mentioned Damson Idris, the guy that played Martin Luther King on what's the movie he played in? Selma. Yeah, he's African too. A lot of people, a lot of actors we can name. Eddie BC off of Oz. I mean, people. And the thing about it is and like I said, and that's just an example. Hollywood is just the main example. That's when you see every day. And the thing we don't do is, do we have actors just as accomplished, just as taught, or how you say, what's the word, cultured enough to step into them roles, to be a professional back? Because we think just because it's a Black role, automatically we're supposed to get it. You understand?
Right.
But sometimes they require a certain kind of black, as they say.
That's where we're wrong. And what you said, I think, is one of the problems we have in our community. We have, and I, like I said, listening to this documentary. I mean, if we're not just going to stick with Hollywood.
What's the name of the documentary? You know the name of it?
I can't. I think Black Actors. It was actually very informative. They went.
Okay.
They talked about it from the earliest with
Is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix. It was
All
very informative. It just went throughout the history, and one of the things. We're not just going to stick with Hollywood, but I think that is a good starting point. Is they talked about how they have to go through more for a role. So when we say, do we have some that are professional in this realm? We have a lot in professionally into this realm. To include, if we even throw Tupac in there. Tupac went and just like Jada, they would go to these schools, so they're trained.
Exactly. You get trained you do got trained actors out there, so right. And like I said, sometimes they're trained to play to a certain audience, to certain roles. That's why Tupac was such a good actor. He knew how to, present himself. He knew how to, be a certain character, certain emotions. He knew how to express that and how to put himself forward. You know. But I'm gonna ask you a question though, because this is the thing. So I don't know if you were here in the time a couple years ago, some time ago, maybe about maybe 3 to 4 years ago, they were filming a TV show, a crime show here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the roles required a black woman of Geechee descent from the area, basically, to play the role. And I forgot what her role was, but do you think they picked an actor from this area?
I mean, I can't say yes or no.
They didn't. You know what they picked?
Who?
I forgot her name. The other Wayne's sister. The Wayne's sister.
Kim
Wayans.
Then that was wrong. It was wrong.
Because she tried to play it. She tried to play it as a Jamaican accent, and it didn't work. And people don't understand. Like I said, that their cultural differences is another thing too.
But even in that, but what they saw was we're filling a black robe,
and then she could have. And the thing about it is, and people, in a sense, is like you could pick the accent up if you stay here long enough. But even still, it's got to be it's a natural thing. It's like you actually from the area. Like I could tell the difference from a person that is from the area, that grew up here, as opposed to somebody that just maybe been here 10, 15 years, or 5 more years, because like I said, it does rub on you it rubs off on you just a little bit.
Right. Yeah, of course.
You pick it up, you'll pick up a little bit here and there. So
one of the running jokes in Hollywood and not even Hollywood, just I guess in our lane in life is that in Iron Man 1 you had Terrence Howard. Iron Man 2 you had Don Cheadle. But no other race realized that there's 2 different black people that played that role. we know it's a different. They just all black person,
right?
And that's what, and that's what a lot of.
Well, we got suntan,
That's what I'm saying. You got short, got short and everything.
You took the curve, took the perm out of scare,
Yeah, and that's that, and a lot of black actors have said, that's a problem because other races don't see a difference. We know a difference. And it's not, fair is not a word to use, but what they're saying is not a competitive edge anymore because this is a route that they're going right now because it checks the block for them. On the flip side of it, as far as black people, I think we created this issue because we were so hell-bent on building allies based off of color that we didn't realize that not everybody has our back. No. We were so busy trying to say, oh, you look like us. Like you made a statement, you've been through the same struggle. Well, we've seen throughout history where people could go through the same thing. And once one gets a little more favored than the other, I'm not like that person. I'm not with them.
Yeah, they turn on each other.
Yeah. I mean, today in church, hey, when Jesus was riding high, Peter was riding high. When Jesus got taken in, Peter said, I do not know that man. So even in the biblical sense, you see that. And we always get left. I guess I'll use this term. I'm probably borrowing it from someone. I am. I'll say I'm borrowing it from someone. We get left at the altar. We never get married. We do all these tricks in the bedroom to get these people here. Promises of bringing us to the promised land, and then next thing you know, we're unwed. These other races quickly to go back. Hey, I'm Jamaican. You know what? I send my money back to Jamaica. Hey, I'm Ethiopian. I send my money back to Ethiopia. Hey, I'm this, I'm that. I'm Puerto Rican. I send my money back to Puerto Rico. But we so quick. Dog, they just like us. Yeah, we ride into them. And
What the hell is that?
That's how I feel we ride with them. And they just be like, no. Do you feel as though that this is a problem that can be fixed? Do you think we need to honestly kind of like close our borders?
No, we could, but we're not going to do that.
Why?
Because we never learned our lesson. We still do it to this day. I mean, you know, that's part of what's been ingrained in us, even from the time of slavery up until now. You know, because it's like you think about the times when slaves would probably move from one plantation to another, you know, in between time, even though that slave wasn't a part of them from the beginning, somehow they got indoctrinated into that circle.
Right.
You know, regardless of where they came from and what the, you know, because in the long run, they're all on the same struggle, such in the same, regardless of what their job has been, except for the ones that were the house people,
Right.
the house ninjas.
Yeah.
As you were saying, the house ninjas. But I mean, could we start? I said, yeah. Will we? I doubt it, because there's always going to be a few of us that feels that we should include everybody, even though we're not including everybody else's table all the time.
We're not. I only, you know, when Jamaicans go to the table for their communities, they don't go to the table with the mindset of, hey, I'm getting this for all the Black people, you know.
No, I just said, yeah.
What?
Good point.
I want to bring this up because I think this is important. What are we?
What are we?
No, seriously, what are we?
As far as in relation to
race, nationality, what are we?
When as far as nationality, we're supposed to be American.
Okay.
Because we're from the nation called the United States of America. That's what we're supposed to be. Now, the breakdown as far as race.
Does that part matter if we're
only in America? Because even in Germany, you don't now looked at it as Black German, or you consider German. Once you're a citizen of Germany, you're German.
Do you think that that's the biggest issue we have, is the fact that we don't feel like we have an identity, so we gravitate to other people's identities? Because at one point, you know, every Black person was Native American. That's a fact. Look it up. Hey, what are you mixed? Yeah, I'm mixed with Cherokee. Every Black person was Cherokee.
No, not every Black person was Cherokee, but Cherokee there was something else, you know. But what are we? I don't know. But I say we are American. Now, like I said, we gravitate to, you know, saying claim ourselves as Black American or whatever American. We do, because we in a sense gotta have an identity. Because at one point we were identified as property.
Right. Still are, if you ask me, but
I mean, even still with that, you know, back then we were looked at as property, as opposed to an actual being, human being, a living person, a living thing. So, yeah, and I mean, is that a bad thing? No, but we still have that slave mentality, regardless of what people may think. You know, we do things to say. So I think we spoke about the other day. Yeah, we do things to stand out. But are we standing out because we stand up for something right? Or we standing out because we must be the most seen and the most heard? You know, and I mean most seen and most heard is something that doesn't even benefit myself or my people as a whole.
Right.
You know.
Do you think that it's time that we embrace America and embrace being an American and say, you know what, we're taking on the American identity so we can shed every other identity that we've been trying to take? Because, and I'm a big person on this, and so I say, you know, I do, you know, and one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to trace my family back to what country in Africa that the bloodline came from, if possible.
Okay.
That's what I want to do. But the truth is,
I think we
Yeah.
already embraced it. We already embraced it. Now, are we getting the warm embrace that we want? Not necessarily. It's just what it is. Because if we didn't embrace being American, we wouldn't push so hard. We wouldn't have pushed so hard for what we felt was right or wrong.
Okay.
You know, and back, you know, during the civil rights times. And I think we embraced a little bit too much as a whole, because like you said, it's got to the point where we try to now outright identify ourselves, but we try to identify with other people,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
You know, and like sometimes we are ashamed of who we are, or we're ashamed of our culture, so we try to take on another culture, another identity. You know, I mean, which is fine, but also keep in mind that culture, that the identity you try to take on, they do it as another black person, you know, African American, you know. I mean, like I said, you get embraced, you might get brought into the circle in the fold, but I'm pretty sure it's more of a cold, a cold shoulder,
No, I
a
agree
cold
with
cell, you know, a cold cell, you
Right.
know. You can, you know, get from benefiting from being a part of what they got going on.
Do you feel like it's time for us to drop the African from the African American?
Ooh, that's a deep one. I mean, we could, but I mean, but then the question is, then how would you identify yourself? Because you know, a lot of us don't want to be identified as black. And then there's like I said, there's just people that don't identify us as, you don't want to be identified. We definitely want to be identified as Negro.
American.
Okay, so now, because you got to understand this, even, and that's the thing, I think that's a whole different conversation we're having, because even Americans were taught, and we're taught as Americans to look at us individually, even though the Constitution, I mean, I think the Constitution said it's supposed to be indivisible. We always been taught individually how we looked at.
Right. But do you think that that's part of the problem?
Yeah, it is.
Because
it is.
Unlike every other nationality in America, we're the only ones that, even if you trace your history back, that's why I said I want to do that. But even if I trace it back, I'm so far removed from that me even trying to adapt to that would be forcing something.
But you know, crazy thing is, you really can, but you really can't, because there's going to be some intermixing. Because even in my bloodline, there's a Caucasian bloodline within my bloodline along the way before I came to be the individual that I am now. And I'll be honest with you, and that's the thing we got to realize too, because we can say, like I said, on that alone, you can say you're American, you know, but to sit there and try to say, that is, like I said, that's a different conversation to have. Because and the thing about it is not, we're not being taught that way from certain stages. Because even as you look at it, when I tell people, you got to realize, you going to kindergarten, first grade, maybe second grade, say about the third or fourth grade,
you start, race.
You start knowing, you start realizing race.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
You start realizing race.
Yeah.
You know, because in the beginning you're taught as a whole your similarities, but as you get further down the road, you're being shown your differences subliminally now, not out. Sometimes it's
Right.
outright, but a lot of times it's subliminally.
Oh yeah.
You know, because again, when they used to teach me about Black History Month, you know, they never told the whole story of how we arrived at Black History Month. The main focus was Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King. I think that was
slavery.
No, they didn't teach. Remember, they didn't taught slavery yet. Because remember, you didn't. Not mind you, they didn't teach slavery yet.
Oh,
remember, just think about it.
So they hit you with the trifecta: Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King.
It was another
civil rights movement.
That's right. All that. That was it. That was basically what it was about. They taught that. I know I was taught that in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. I think I learned it differently because when I got to Tennessee, it's a whole different. That's a whole different ball game. Yeah, that's a whole different ball game. But but yeah. Even with that being said, we don't we don't. We're not being taught as a unified front. It's taught as, oh, okay, there's the American history, and this is African American history or Black history, however history, but it's not included within that history. It's taught us because that's the thing about it. It's only touched upon.
Right. You have to do most of your own
research. But I had the fortunate opportunity when I was with the James Allen High School. We had an African American history course, and it opened my eyes even much more to like how much of our history we've actually been kept from us, huh? Yeah, we kept from us. Yeah, whitewashing kept from us. A lot of our history, because people think our history started the minute Martin Luther King started fighting for civil rights.
Because that's when they started.
That's right. Exactly.
No, I agree with you.
So and I'll be honest with you, and I'll be honest with you, at that point early on in my life, that was the thought. That was the thought at the time. To like the
Trinity. That's why I said that's why they teach it like that.
I learned, and then my dad and my mother, my father said there's more to it, and I had to do my own research.
Yeah, my mom was the same.
You know, I had to do my own research. You know, and that's it. By the time I moved to Tennessee, that's when I had to do my research. That's when I told people. That's where I realized that I was an N-word to certain people. So, and the crazy thing is, it wasn't even said maliciously. It was just said in the sense to where, to them, it was saying in an embracing and loving way. But to me, it registered with me like,
right,
damn.
No, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Here's this kid. He's, let me see, about 8 or 9 years old, maybe. No, it might be a little older than that. Like 10, maybe, somebody there still. And, you know, you realize, you know, hey, you looked at, in a sense, the same, but to a certain age, you're not looked at the same.
No, you're right. So I guess the second question to that would be, what should we identify as? Because you're absolutely 100% right. In America, we're already taught we're different. We're already taught that we're not really from this continent. They make sure to remind us of that throughout our history and things. So that is fact. We necessarily don't have a continent to go to, despite what people think. Africa has not opened their borders to us. And
well, I'm on my continent. I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
But okay, so with that being said, right, is it time for us to say we are Americans and this is what we will be represented as moving forward, instead of us always saying we're going to be represented as African Americans, Negroes, Blacks? Because, you know, I think that was part of our issue throughout this time frame too, is because we have multiple ways of being referred to.
We could. But the thing is, we would stick to it. We would stand by it. It sounds good the first 30 to 60, 90 days, 100 days, first 6 months. But then we get lazy about it. We're not because the thing about it is we got to be disciplined about what we decide to do. Always it's got to be about discipline. You know, you think about it. Remember I called you when I was overseas and I was going about the whole thing with George, my man, Minneapolis, George Floyd. And what I tell you, we're gonna be Black Power Black Power for a good strong 3, maybe 6 months, and we're gonna go back to right back to where we started from prior to that. Unity's gonna be there. Unity's gonna be there. Everybody's gonna cash in, or everybody's gonna take. But then I told you what's gonna happen. Sure enough, we fall right back to where we started from. We back to kill each other. We're still back to hurting each other, rob and take from each other, destroying our own neighborhoods, destroying our own livelihood, destroying our own families.
Right.
But I mean, that's just what we do. I mean, we're not disciplined about, and that's why they don't take it seriously, because we're not disciplined the whole route, the whole way. We don't stick to it. The minute it gets hard, or the minute it looks like it's gonna be the easy road, we slack up off. We let our foot up off the pedal.
I agree with you on that, and I think that is a big issue, is because we're not consistent and we lack the discipline. And seeing things through, we get excited at when things are thrown in our way, like a dog.
Yeah.
A dog gets excited for a ball. A dog gets excited for leftovers. A dog gets excited for someone to walk in and be like, and the dog jumps up. But at the end of the day, it's still a dog. And
you think about it, because it's cool. It's cool. You think about it. They're taking down all the Confederate statues and memorials. It's cool. So what's the next step after that?
I think that's wrong. Personally, I think
But I'm saying, what's the next step? What are we establishing?
We're not.
So my thing is, when we get upset when they decide to take down the Martin Luther King memorial in Atlanta, or they decide to do it with the Civil Rights Museum in Birmingham.
They have and they could do that because the formula that we put out there, which and a lot of people don't realize that when you don't see things through, sometimes that same thing that you're fighting for can be used against you, as they say, that can get strength into your weakness.
And like I said, we empowering the wrong people. We empower the wrong thing. Like you said, it'll turn around and use it right against us. Okay, you took down John Calhoun's statue over Marion Square. Okay, then cool. How about we just tear down what's my man's name? Denmark Vesey statue over in Hampton Park.
Yeah. And they could say the same thing. I mean, we're all Americans.
Exactly. So I mean, that's the thing. Be careful what we say we ask for. When we start saying what we looked at as Americans, and we start doing certain things, when it starts, when they start exercising them same rights upon us, we want to get offended and get upset. So we gotta be prepared to play the game.
So speaking of which, should we have done what the Native Americans did and become indigenous people and say that we have dual citizenship and carved out land within this country? Should we have went that route?
That'd have been interesting. We probably could. You could have carved out all the islands along the East Coast. I mean, along South Carolina and Georgia for one. You could start it there.
Mm-hmm.
Could have started there. You could have.
Do you think by us not doing that, it kind of hindered us in our growth in the country?
In a sense, we know, and I think that's where we messed up at. Let me back up. Because we had some of them lands, because the owners, the Tayshios let the lands go.
Right.
And what we started doing is we devalued our land, the lands that they were given to us. And what I meant by devalued is we didn't see the long game as opposed to the quick buck.
I got a question I want to throw in there.
Go ahead.
So no, I like that. You're right for the quick buck, but do you think the Caucasian education system has been the worst thing for us? Because in that you said something that I like, which is we didn't see the value in that, but more importantly, we saw that the value of their education moving to their cities was more important than to hold down what we had in our areas. Do you think that hindered our growth in this country too, because we were so busy trying to get their education, trying to get their degrees, trying to move into their cities to be next to them?
It could be possible. I think so. I think in some cases it could be. I think we can, because we said we don't value, and I think that's also an issue. We don't value our culture as we should, but we get upset when somebody outside the culture is benefiting greater than from it than we do.
That's true.
We get offended. We get upset. Why? You know, why would you get upset at Eminem?
But that goes back to that inclusiveness. We always
Right.
include, but not just Eminem. Cardi B,
Right.
even though, okay, y'all know how I feel, but Cardi B, we could go to Lauryn Hill.
Right.
I mean, we always including them in that Fat Joe.
Right.
Fat Joe really has not been on our side in a lot of things.
Hey.
And you know, despite what people think, but we've been including people in, and they've been making money off our back. They've been making sure that they get what they want to get, and we're left holding nothing. We're left with, okay, what about us? We're left with the face.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just part of what we do.
Now
we feel they dope, but that's cool. You know, and I don't blame people like Lord Jamar. You know, when he says what he says, you know, he has a very good point. But keep in mind, we allow these people and we take them in and we embrace them, you know, but we don't set any boundaries or rules. You know?
Okay.
Should it be boundaries rules? I don't know. I mean, it's just what we do.
I like that. I think there should be boundaries and rules. Just like, for instance, you bring somebody into your house. Do you let them plumage through your kitchen? Do you let them plumage through your house? Do you let them go in the master bedroom? No. You say, you know, you give them, even if they stay the night, they know where they're going, how they're going. I think we need to start doing that. So the question I want to ask now is, and I know it may sound redundant or rhetorical, or maybe like, well, aren't we like that? Should we have created our own race?
And you mean create your own race?
See, you laughing.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Now you got me. Now I'm curious.
Should we have said we are this instead of saying we were African Americans? If we didn't want us, if we felt like America wasn't embracing us, then we should have said we are the indigenous Black people of America. Should we have went ahead and totally separated ourselves from America?
It's been a hell of a fight, but we probably could have.
Because, you know, to be fair, like people who follow the Moors,
yeah,
they have
sovereign nation,
right? Yeah. Should we have done that in the beginning?
We could have. We could have been in a fight, but you could, like I say, we could have. Because I mean, the crazy thing is there's I'm not sure if you're aware of it. There's a tribe here in South Carolina, and they're separated pretty much themselves from the state of South Carolina, United States.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Now I know it comes with a lot of you're on your own, you know, but you have to set up certain things, and I get that. But and the reason why I ask that question is because by us not having an identity, because I still think we fight with I always say we're in an abusive relationship with America. We are, and we fight with identity every day. We fight with, are we American? Are we African? Who are we? You know, we really do fight with that, and I think every day we go back and forth and back and forth. We want to belong, because reality is, as people, we are supposed to belong. And I know, you know, churches teaching us we're all children of God. However, why the church divided? But that's another topic. If we don't get a handle over it, the inclusion is going to overthrow us, because at some point we are not going to have an identity, or our identity may be so drowned in the negativity and stereotypes. Because I remember we had a conversation when you was overseas, and you that how they view us.
Yeah.
So now I feel as though the identity of the African American, Black, the Negro, you know, however we want to be called, has just become so much of a negative stereotype that other people make sure that they are not in our box.
Okay. I can see that.
How do we change that? Not that I want them in our box or don't want them in our box, but how can we change that to where we can say that we are proud to be this? We are proud to be these people in this country.
Because we don't. Because these are things we do. We take pride in setting these. We take pride in being a part of these trends that make us look foolish at times.
Okay, I do agree.
That looks ignorant. You know, like I tell you, we talked the other day. We don't communicate. We do communicate amongst ourselves in a certain manner to where we understand, but in a sense, we're not communicating to where others that are not a part of who we are, our community, don't want to understand what we're saying. They just accept it for us being incompetent and ignorant. We don't, like I said, we take pride in our expression, but in a sense to where it has a negative connotation of who we are as a culture, as a people, as a race, nationality, whatever. You know, we feel like say we gotta be the loudest, we gotta say the most cuss words, we gotta, you know, like I said, we gotta be over the top with everything. And I'm not with all that. Because we're not always over the top. Some of us have been taught to have a vocabulary, how to talk, pronounce words, put sentences together, paragraphs, have a conversation, dialogue, all that good stuff. So I mean, like I said, we take pride in all the wrong stuff at the wrong time, you know, and we get upset when that's the thing they magnify and magnify and amplify and focus on the most, you know, because the first thing they'll say is what? Always loud,
Right.
wearing tight clothes, or you're wearing clothes that don't fit properly. Back to, you know, whatever else. Good. We good at basketball, good at music, you know, but we're not good at the classroom. That's so wrong, you know. But,
Right.
But yeah, like I said, we do it to ourselves a lot of times. We stick to those stereotypes. Nothing wrong being good at playing sports or being a good dancer or a good dresser, you know. But I'm pretty sure there's more to you than that, than how you can dress, dance, talk, or play, you know, play with a ball. I mean, come on.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. I just feel as though sometimes, you know, we do box ourselves in, and but in that boxing ourselves in, we become our worst enemy. So here's the $1,000,000 question: do you get embarrassed being African American at times?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I really don't. Because by that time, because at this moment in my life, I realized we are going to be what we are. And we can change ourselves one person at a time, one family at a time. You know, because there's not going to be one immediate chance to everybody. I think, you know, the only thing you can really start to influence is the people immediately around you. And that's family and friends, you know. You just carry yourself different, speak different, think different, you know, by all means. Nothing wrong with talking with slang, but there's more to life and there's more to a conversation than talking with slang to everybody in mama out there, as we say.
Right. No, I agree, and I do agree with that, and I do think that we need to. And I'm not saying we don't. And one thing I always tell people, there's a great. I think it's more examples of us being in a light where it's more favorable, and I do believe that we are in a more favorable light than what has been shown. However, I do think that because we hold on to a lot of the negative stereotypes as a whole, we don't separate it, and I think that that's one of the things that is our downfall. On the other side, I do believe that another part of our downfall is because we're so quick to want to bring everybody in. Like, for instance, a couple of months ago, there was just a whole group of Haitians under a bridge in Texas. Nobody asked how they got there. Nobody asked what boat they came off the Texas coast. Nobody asked these questions. Just a whole bunch of Haitians was under a bridge.
Okay.
They were Haitian, correct?
I think so.
All right. And they were under a bridge, right?
I believe so.
And apparently they just showed up out of nowhere, right?
According to what you said, yeah.
Nobody asked these questions. Nobody asked it anywhere. But the first thing I saw was black people running to the aid. But you don't run to the aid to the people in your own neighborhood. But you ready to go just cape for them, as we like to say, cape for them, as if any Haitians has ever caped for you.
Baby, excuse me. We never know.
We're so quick to, they're one of us. And they're like, no, I'm not. But if I get something out of this, yeah. And what happened? How much money they getting?
I forgot how much they get for that.
How much money we getting?
I don't know.
We cape. They ain't even our Lois Lane. They ain't even say, hey, we love you. So you cape for us. We love you. You saving us. Well, at least Lois Lane gave Superman something. They ain't even giving us none.
Hey,
God, dog, boy. Man, I mean, and one thing I always like to tell people, it's not being hateful or vindictive against any other races. It's never that. And I hate that we always have to put disclaimers in front of stuff, and I hate that we always have to bring this up, because people should always know that in conversation you may not always agree with everything, but you can have a mutual respect. I don't hate anybody and I don't dislike any other race, but however, when you see a person being abused, do you sit there and allow them to keep being abused, or do you stand up and say something? So
I mean, somebody's standing up and saying something, but you know, it's not enough people stand up saying something.
Right. And I feel like that's us right now in America, is that we're being abused, but not just in America. I think it's an epidemic. I think it's worse than COVID-19. And I don't care how people feel. I think it's worse than COVID-19 because it's a generational situation. And at what point do we set up a generation for success? Not just money. Because
it's not financially, I got you.
Yeah. Because one thing I'm learning in life is, as Black people, we use terms because it sounds good, like legacy. I'm building my legacy. I'm building this. But one thing you never say is, who is going to take care of your legacy?
Right. True.
So you're building something for what? Right. Who's going to be there to take care? Who understands the purpose of it? Who understands the importance of it? And who's going to be the caretaker of it to pass it on to the next phase? That's where we drop the ball at. And I do believe that that's one of our biggest issues in our community, is that we don't do stuff like that. Every other race does that. But when you see other races that look like us, they're quick to make sure they remind you, hey, we may look alike, but I'm good. We all on the same job, and we stand up for racism. A lot of them don't stand up for that. You realize that they'll be like, hey, I got a family to feed.
Hey, we got family to feed, man.
I mean, I can't knock them, but at the same time, but they're gonna benefit from you standing up,
right?
But they're not gonna stand with you,
right?
So, all right, man, you closing this down. We got one more show coming up, and that's actually gonna be a fun show. I like it. It's gonna be a fun show, and I think we're gonna have fun on that show because it's gonna tackle a topic that for me is funny, because it's kind of like the roosters have come home to cluck.
Okay, well, good. Let's wrap it up then. So until the next show, we'll close it out. We'll take a quick pause and we'll be back.
All right. YouTube, Facebook, Anchor, Instagram, Snap in and chatting, and Future, but we can't tell you that. On all media platforms, please check us out. Please, subscribe. Please, send us, any comments. If you feel like we could do something better, you got some ideas you want to run by us, or you want to come on the show and talk to us, please feel free. We'll be debuting a new show. We recorded it. We're getting it taken care of, and we're going to do another episode on Tuesday, and we're going to be sharing it with the public with Rolando. So check that out, and please, stay blessed and stay motivated, but more importantly, do not stay stagnant. That's the key. Do not stay stagnant. What you got?
Same here, man. Just stay up to stay alive, stay awake, stay focused, stay tuned to what we got coming forward. That's it, man.
I know I'm still in the 90s. I'm out.